It's an update on the future radios and what I have done so far. Both of these Motorola's have been done. I will show you, this is the second 5A, 7A radio that I said I was not going to make a video on, but I will show you what I did. I did a little something different on the hinges here. And then I'll show you the next radio that we're going to be working on, but it will not be right away. Now, you notice that there is no braid on the hinges. The cover just barely stays up, of course. I'll show you close-ups here. I think you can see it. There's a very thin, insulated, stranded wire. I found some real thin wire. I put one on the left side and one on the right side, and you can see where it goes. So what happened is, instead of having to drill holes, I did it from the inside, and I brought the wire up between the metal frame and the insulating plastic. I couldn't do that with the braid because I would have to stick the braid in there and have it uninsulated, and it would have shorted out. This works, and then I brought the wire up and I wrapped it around the post, the little pins that stick out. If you looked at the radio video on the first radio I did, I just tinned them about 1.5 inches long, and I just wrapped them around. I did not want to solder them to those pins because it heats up the plastic and could cause me a problem. By the way, I'm using my other JVC, which is not quite as bright. A good camera, it's a different model. I think it's an MC30 or some such model number. I can't remember numbers. But anyways, so the only thing is, when it gets down to about here, it somehow breaks up. So there's something not quite right with the wiring. Something might be shorting in there. I don't know. However, these hinges have very poor continuity. So I had to do the wire routine, but at least I didn't have to use braid. And it's got a much nicer face on it, but of course this is the one that had the break in it. We're going to put this on for you right now. So let me get you on a tripod. All right. Think you can see that. Yep. Now, I had to borrow back the 3S4 here from the first radio. You've already heard that running, so no use showing that. However, on this one, I did an alignment. I did all this off camera. As I said, I wasn't going to make another video on the same radio. You've seen one, you've seen them all. In some ways, this was a little easier to work on. Other ways, it was an SOB to work on. I did an alignment, and when I tried to do the alignment on the first one on video, I messed up and put the signal generator, when I did the 455, supposed to go into the grid of the 1R5 tube. And I remember saying I couldn't get at the grid, but the wire directly went right to the antenna. But I put the signal generator on the low side of the antenna and not on the grid. So that's why it didn't work. All right, so this is not a polarized plug. I could not get another one of those cords in my hardware store. I didn't save the package, and he didn't know what I meant. I said, well, I paid about $4 for it a couple weeks ago, but I can't save everything. And Home Depot wanted $7 for an 8-foot cord with a plug on it, bare wires at the other end. They were out of them, and I said, well, I'm not paying that kind of money. No way in hell. So my hardware store sold me lamp cord, the right thickness, 50 cents a foot, and this plug came out of one of these radios, which had a bad cord, and it's got one of them, it's one of these self, you just lift up the lever and you put the wire in. So I know that this is the neutral, but it don't matter because we're going to an isolation transformer anyways. So we're going to close the cover. And like I said before, there isn't any radio videos on the same model, but I said I was going to show you this. And we're still recording, okay? All right, so now we're going to turn on the variac, and we're going to bring it up to 117 volts exactly. Of course, you can't see that because I got to move the camera, but not a big deal. All right, so now we'll move this cord out of the way here and open the cover. It's a little more, it came to life after doing the alignment, even though I peaked this up by the radio stations. However, that little green X-Lite screwdriver, I think it was A2 under the chassis, I could not adjust that because it kept detuning going into the IF can. I just don't have a very tiny flat blade non-metallic alignment tool. I just don't have it. Years ago I had all that stuff, as I said so many times. But it did peak up quite a bit, or perked up I should say. But there's a lot of interference here.
Some thunderstorms late Thursday with a high again near 55. No rain yet. Cloudy in Hudson Square, 52 at 5:40. On the WCBS Afternoon Roundup.
WCBS.
Police will start wearing body cameras, but they won't be paid extra for it, like officers in other departments on Long Island. WCBS reporter Sophia Hall has more from Nassau County.
Well, we're over 900. I got to adjust the oscillator. See this plug right here? This comes out. I can adjust the oscillator. Okay?
Foster University that officers agreed to wear body cam. Connie Brown did when you asked her if...
So I'm going to be doing that, but not today, not on radio, on video.
No, but...
You're a victim and don't even know it. Then it's time to protect your home. Go to TitleLock.com and use promo code GORKA.
Now, here's what I'm talking about on the cover here.
That's home.
Now, this is the power switch. That shuts it off. However, it doesn't even touch this power switch, so that's not the problem. The problem is there's still a bad connection or a short in the setup that I made here, but I'll have to take it off. I may have to solder to those pins because they're only wrapped around, and then when you slide the wire in, it holds it tight.
Nature exists. Balance of to help combat the unhealthy lifestyle.
See? So there is a problem still.
Advanced cold vacuum process grinds them up and delivers them right to your.
So
you can get all the recommended servings of.
Don't run the radio this way anyway. So you run it open like this.
About buying, store.
All right, so
Balance.
it's not bad. turn this off. It's not bad. Not a bad radio. Before we start with show you in the next project, this radio also has been converted strictly to AC. I covered up the holes here with tape, so nothing can be stuck in there because that would be a disaster if you flip that over the battery when you got power going into it. So all the tubes test good. Of course, the 3S4 was borrowed originally from this radio anyways. So the first radio, I got to go get another 3S4, and then I'm going to align that. And I'll do that in the future. I won't do it now. Also, on the schematic, there is supposedly on the SAMs, it says when you're aligning it, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6. There is no A6. A6 would be right here. There is nothing there but the sand resistor right there. But some of the models had, I was told, had the extra trimmer or patter capacitor. I don't know what chassis this is. Chassis HS62A. HS like in Harry Sugar 62 Alpha. It's a Model 5A7A, of course. So, all right. But I was scratching my head looking all over. The schematic shows A6. The alignment instructions tell you A6. But it doesn't mention it in the SAMs. The chassis number. I guess the riders, you have to get the riders in order to do that. And the riders schematics are hard to read. I downloaded one and it's very hard to read. The SAMs are so much easier to read. Okay, enough of this. Let me show you the next radio that I'm going to be working on. I think you know what it is. I believe it's a Model 52 M2U, I believe. If it's wrong, I'll correct it in the video. I like the hinges. They're very tight, no spaces, and they may not give me an electrical problem with the connections. As I showed you, I will be taking it apart. There's also the on-off switch right here, the button. I looked at the information on it, and it has what appears to be an open chassis, and it's much easier to work on. In other words, it appears to be you just take the shield off and get at everything. It uses a little different arrangement. It uses two D cells and a 67.5 volt battery connector. Don't know if I'm going to convert this strictly to AC or not. I don't know. This is, of course, the original cord. It appears to be good. So let's put this in here. And let's put this through the isolation. We're just going to check it. As I said, it appears to be somewhat, has some life. Okay, we're on the isolation transformer and variac. We'll crank the voltage up. We're watching the current. We're at 48 volts. Of course, this is going to need electrolytics. Now, before we get any higher, we're at 56 volts right now. I gotta wait for my order to come in for Sal's capacitor corner. I got the order in, but it's going to take a while probably to get it. So I don't know what this uses. I haven't looked at the actual schematic. All I did is just glance at it and saw the chassis and things, but I didn't really spend much time on it because I want to do one radio at a time. Now, hopefully in the order and between the stock I do have enough electrolytics. I ordered a lot of extra 022s because the other Motorola's used 6 of them in each. Again, there are 2 capacitors I could not change. The one with the coil on it, on the 5A7, and there's one 02 buried in the circuit board. I can only get at one end, I can't get at the other. So like the first radio, I have no choice. I left it in. It's in the RF section, 1R5, I believe. Let's get this up and let's see if there's any life in it. $95 volts. There it is, 105, starting to, little static here. 117. It could be electrolytics. All right, we're not pushing it. Like I say, there was a little life in it. But we're not going to run this like this because we could damage the tubes because your tubes run off of the B+ through a drop-in resistor and network. At least wise the other radio did. We're going to get the schematic out when we get to do this. We're not doing any radio repair. This is not a radio repair video. This here cover works very well. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. So that's going to be my next project. And we will take you along. This is a Motorola model 52M2U. So probably made about 47, 48 also, just like the other one. And it'll have to be cleaned up and so forth. So that's what's going to be coming up in the future radio project. So I wanted to give you this update here. Yes, another video almost every day, but don't get used to it because I have nothing going on now other than electronic videos, and this will be at least another week or longer before I can get on it. Because I got to wait for that order to come in. Okay, here is the SAMs on that radio there, the model 52M2U. It's also the 52M1U, 2 different models. The whole video was about the upcoming radio here, the other Motorola, and we'll be doing that in a few weeks. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.